We think of the story of everything, from the Big Bang all the way to us, as this neat, straight line. But it's not even close. It's actually a story of chaos, of massive disruptions, and frankly, of huge hidden realities that we're only just starting to see.
And it makes sense why we do this. We love simple maps of time, right? They give us a sense of order. We can draw a nice, clean path from the beginning of the universe, swing by the dinosaurs, and land right here in our modern world. It feels manageable.
But what if that straight line is just an illusion? What if the very maps we're using to understand the past are actually hiding the most important parts, the jagged edges, the dead ends, and the enormous blank spots that hold the real story? So, to figure this out, our first stop has to be looking at how we even make these maps in the first place. The whole idea is called periodization, and this is where the first cracks in our neat little story start to appear.
See, here's the fundamental tension. On the one hand, slicing up history into chunks like the Renaissance or the Middle Ages, it's super useful. It helps us find patterns, figure out cause and effect. But, and this is the big catch, the lines we draw are totally subjective. They're just ideas we made up, not actual facts of nature.
And this is a perfect example of the problem. We treat the fall of the Western Roman Empire as this massive, universal turning point, the end of the ancient world. But why? It was a political thing that happened in Europe. By making that the center of the story, our map just completely ignores all the incredible things that were happening in the rest of the world. It's a biased map from the get-go. Okay, so if our maps of human history have a few missing details, well, our map of the entire cosmos has, let's just say, entire continents missing. Let's scale way, way up, because this problem is about to get a whole lot bigger. So take a look at this. This is the official inventory of our universe, according to our best science. Everything we've ever seen, touched, or measured, the stars, the planets, you, me, it's all what we call normal matter. And as you can see, it makes up that tiny little 5% slice. Just let that sink in for a second. 95% of our universe is a complete and total mystery. We literally call it dark matter and dark energy because we have no idea what it is. Our cosmic map isn't just incomplete, it's almost entirely blank. And in that blankness, oh, there are some big problems. Here's the first one, and it's a doozy: our own existence. According to everything we know from the standard model of physics, the Big Bang should have made equal amounts of matter and antimatter, and they should have instantly wiped each other out, leaving behind a universe filled with nothing but light. No stars, no planets, no us. Nothing. For us to even be here, there had to be this tiny, tiny imbalance. Get this. For every billion times a particle and an antiparticle destroyed each other, just one lonely particle of matter had to be left over. Our current physics has absolutely no explanation for this. The fact that we exist is maybe the biggest clue we have that our map of the universe is just fundamentally wrong. All right, now let's zoom way back in from the whole cosmos down to our own planet. Because it turns out the timeline of life isn't some smooth, triumphant march forward either. It's a story of life repeatedly breaking the very world it lives on. So meet the planet's first disruptors, cyanobacteria. Billions of years ago, these little microbes figured out a cool new trick: photosynthesis. And in the process, they started pumping out a waste product that was basically a deadly poison to almost everything else alive: oxygen. Yeah, this wasn't the beautiful dawn of a new world we could breathe in. It was a catastrophe. For all the life that dominated the planet at the time, this slow creep of oxygen was a mass poisoning on a global scale. It was the planet's first big pollution event. And the chain reaction was staggering. As oxygen flooded the atmosphere, it wiped out methane, which was a really powerful greenhouse gas. So temperatures plummeted. The entire planet plunged into a deep freeze, a snowball Earth. A tiny biological invention caused a massive climate crisis that led to the planet's very first great mass extinction. And speaking of extinctions, our popular map is often wrong here too. We are all completely obsessed with the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, right? But just look at this chart. An event called the Great Dying was so much worse. It wiped out up to 96% of all life in the oceans. Our timeline is just littered with these hidden, even more devastating disruptions. Okay, so let's bring this all back to the human scale one more time. We've seen our maps of history can be biased, and the story of life is all about disruption. Well, the exact same thing is true for our more recent past. Remember that biased map from the beginning? Here it is again. Calling a period the Dark Ages only makes sense if you're staring at one corner of the globe, Western Europe. But if you zoom out, the world was buzzing. It was a vibrant, interconnected age, with the scientific powerhouses of the Islamic Golden Age and brilliant Chinese dynasties driving progress across the world.
And this brings us to this huge, uncomfortable paradox in the story of so-called Western progress. The scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, these were incredible leaps in human thought. But we can't ignore that so much of the wealth that paid for all of it was extracted through the violence of colonialism. That hidden, unequal foundation is a crucial part of the story we often leave out.
So, our maps of the past, cosmic, biological, and human, they're all way messier and more incomplete than we like to admit. But what's truly wild is that right now, our map of the future is being ripped up right before our eyes. For years, scientists thought they knew how the universe was going to end. But brand new data is starting to hint that dark energy, that mysterious force pushing the universe apart, it might not be a constant force after all. It might actually be getting weaker. What this means is we're shifting from a simple map of the future to a much more complicated one. The old idea predicted a pretty straightforward, lonely end called the Big Freeze. But if dark energy is dynamic, as some new theories suggest, well, then the future is anybody's guess. The expansion could slow down, it could stop, or it could even reverse into a big crunch. We just don't know anymore.
And all this uncertainty about the deep future brings us right back here, to this moment. Just like those tiny cyanobacteria became a geological force that totally remade the planet, a lot of scientists are now arguing that we have become the same kind of force, that we've kickstarted a new epoch, the Anthropocene. I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. We are living in a moment where everything is shifting at the same time. We've got a technological revolution with AI and biotech, a geological revolution as we reshape the entire planet, and a cosmological revolution where our most basic picture of the universe is being questioned. Which leaves us with this final massive question. We've seen over and over that our neat, simple maps of the past, of history, of life, of the cosmos, they're illusions. They hide the messy, complicated truth. So if all of our old maps are wrong, how on earth are we supposed to navigate the incredible, chaotic, overlapping changes that are happening all around us right now? Now that's something to think about.